Inside us, there is a lamp of mindfulness. We can light it at any time with our breath, our steps, and a peaceful smile. When this lamp is lit, darkness disappears. Our practice is to keep it shining. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay, a podcast discussing meditation, the near-death experience, spiritually inspirational and transformative experiences. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I'm your host, author, and teacher, Jay Spillers. We're talking about blue moments today. Transient depression, subclinical depressive episodes, brief depressive episodes, or sometimes just called low mood episodes. Can go by different names, but you may have experienced this where it's not like a long episode of depression where it goes on days, weeks, months, but it's often just like a few hours or an hour or even just a half hour. And sometimes it can be very kind of disconcerting because you're thinking like, well, most of the time I'm totally fine. And I meditate on a regular basis. And I don't know why this is happening. You could just be overwhelmed in a moment. You could be feeling stress. You could feel hormonal changes, things like that could be causing it. Could be a lot of different reasons. And if you're tired, sometimes that can exacerbate it. So, what's the first thing to do when you have one of these blue moods, as I call them? Well, the first thing is to notice when it starts to happen, because once you start to notice it and you start to notice where you're going and what's going on, that's sort of half the battle. Because when I notice that I'm in this mood, seems like that takes a lot of the power away, and I'm able to recover a lot faster just with the knowledge that, oh, okay, I'm having one of these mini depression sessions, these micro depression sessions. I'm feeling very down. So the first step is to recognize it. And you might start to notice a pattern too, that, like for me, a lot of these episodes are primarily in the morning, especially when you're doing things like the homeschooling. And I think it's kind of like you feel like, oh, you've got all these classes to do with them, and you're feeling kind of overwhelmed. And they've got this assignment, and that assignment, and this project to do. And you're just kind of like, and then maybe you've got a few other things to do in the day. For me, it's probably just like a sense of being overwhelmed. So you notice the pattern, and you notice when you're getting in one of those episodes. That can be half the battle. Another thing is to accept that this is occurring. Basically, not to beat yourself up like, oh, I'm such a failure, I do all these things to feel better, and that I'm having this blue moment. I'm having this micro depression session. So the second step is to accept where you are. Don't beat yourself up over it. To be able to accept all things, accept this moment, accept all things in your life. And a lot of times, this is one thing to realize is that if it's a micro session where it's like an hour or half hour, 2 hours, maybe that's an indication that you've made improvements in your life. Because I can remember times when I could feel depressed for days, weeks, or months, and I don't get there anymore. And I think that's because of my regular meditation routine and some of the spiritual progress that I made over the years. So it's like, hey, this is an indication of progress because it's only momentary instead of long lasting. So maybe in that sense, accept where you are and maybe even see the silver lining in that moment too. And then part of accepting all things, accepting where you are, is to let go of judgments, to let go of, feeling like a failure, and to recognize that it's okay to not be okay all the time. That's become a very popular saying, and sometimes I always kind of think, okay, well, it's okay to be not okay. It doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make you a failure, but it's not a fun time. It's not a very pleasant experience to not be okay. So it's like, yeah, it's okay to be okay, but I'd really like to get in a state where I am okay, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm not going to beat myself up, but, you know, let's go ahead and look for some ways to be okay because that feels a lot better, you know. So that's the second step, acceptance. First step, recognize that it's occurring and the patterns of it. Second is to accept where you are, let go of the judgments.
You're listening to the Inspire Me with Jay podcast. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, bringing hope and inspiration to the world.
Thirdly, you want to be able to create a space where you can sort of detach your thoughts from who you are and what's going on. So you kind of want to basically create the space, detach from it, and be able to observe how you're feeling. That I feel this way, and there's no judgment with it. I feel run down. I feel overwhelmed. Just kind of observe what you're feeling. So you have the acceptance, and now you're observing it. You notice it, you accept it, and now you're starting to detach and observe. And these things that, if you've probably noticed, are part of meditation, what we do in mindfulness, that we notice, we accept it without judgment, and then we observe the thoughts and feelings as they're occurring, sort of like a third party bystander. So then we want to um, create something different in our nervous system. We want to, as the fourth thing, create positive change. And this can go back to like the initial inspirational quote that we had, that one of the things you can do to change your state, to change your nervous system, to start feeling okay again, is to breathe. And there's like many different kinds of breathing techniques. There's deep breaths where you just breathe in deeply through your nose, hold for about 8 seconds, exhale through your mouth slowly. And you want to exhale at about 7 to 8 seconds. So you want to be exhaling at roughly about the same amount of time as you were holding in. So you inhale deeply, exhale, or inhale deeply, hold, exhale deeply and slowly. And then you can just sort of do like what I call micro breathing. After you've taken a few deep breaths, it's just breathe very slowly in and out through your nose. Kind of just feel your breath going through. Allow it to slow down for a few minutes. And in this slowness, it kind of just stills the world. You're kind of stilling your mind and body. And that's something you can do. So you have both the few deep breaths, it could be 5 to 10, and then still, slow, shallow breathing in and out through your nose for a few minutes. And this simple breathing can make a world of difference. And then, like, another part of the quote was in your body, like you notice the steps you're taking, you notice how your body feels, you notice how your body's moving, you notice different things around you. You could notice sensory perceptions going on, to notice what you're seeing, what you're smelling, what you're hearing. And basically, this sensory noticing in your body is another way to refocus yourself away from what you're upset about, what you're stressed about, and to start to focus on putting you in a different mindset, instilling your mind and putting you in a more mindful state. So, and these are like really simple things, noticing your body and sensations, breathing. Another one too is to, if you have the ability, put some music on, and you can do various types of meditation music. There's a piece of music that can help to lower your stress, and it helps with depression too, because depression and stress are very connected. It's called Macaroni Union. You can go to YouTube, put in Macaroni Union, weightless is what it's called. And it should come up with several options because several people have posted this. And there's different versions, because there's some that are like 30 minutes, there's some that are like 10 hours. And just listen to that because they say that there's been studies that have shown that as little as 8 minutes can lower your stress levels by 65%, can put you in a different mood entirely. And it doesn't always have to be like meditation music or this specific uh, piece of music that helps to lower stress. Sometimes you could listen to classical music, you could listen to instrumental easy listening. There's a lot of different options. I would recommend that you're probably going to get the best results if the music is very calm, fairly, uh, instrumental without words. You can also do like nature sounds sometimes. If you have access to nature, you could walk outside and do it. That might be an option for some people, but if not, if you have to be inside and you can't go outside, you can find some nature sounds on YouTube. So it's sort of music and sound. And sometimes just listening for 5, 10, 15 minutes can make a difference. And sometimes it doesn't have to be like, this is all I'm doing is this sitting here listening to music. If you can put the music on in the background and then continue to do what you need to do, if you're working, if you're reading, studying, if you're doing homeschool with your kid, if you're doing laundry or whatever, you just keep doing that, but then you just have music on in the background. And, obviously this may not be an option for everybody, because if you don't have the ability to listen, because you're interacting with someone else and the music would be distracting, or you don't have headphones, you could try the breath or the body as well. That could be fine. Another thing that you can do, it kind of incorporates different things, is a mini meditation. Now, with a mini meditation, you can do it as little as 1 minute to 5 minutes. And this would require that you kind of put your time aside and do it. And, if you can spare 1 to 5 minutes, you know, not interrupting your day, because the other things you can generally do and just have it flow with what you're doing, not too problem. But if you could spare 1 to 5 minutes, you can do a mini meditation where you do some breathing, a few deep breaths, and then slow your breathing. close your eyes, do a visualization. Could be like a beautiful beach scene like we see here. Could be like in the wilderness. Um, could be a lot of different things. Could be like projecting yourself into space, seeing different planets and stars and nebula and whatever. Because sometimes that people could find that very peaceful to um, visualize. If you have the ability to put in some music with it, that's good too. I mean, essentially, you're doing what you do in a longer formal meditation, just in a mini meditation, and that might be an option too if you have 1 to 3 minutes. I mean, obviously, if you have the ability to go, meditate for 20, 30 minutes or 40 minutes and do a regular meditation session, that'd be wonderful. But, if it's in the middle of your day or in the morning and you've got to do certain things, having a longer meditation may not work. And sometimes even a mini meditation may not work, though it's more likely that you could get a 5 minutes than 30, and you could do that, a mini meditation. But try to incorporate these different things, a mini meditation or breathing, the noticing of your body movements and sensations around it, and music. These different things can sort of help to change your mood when you find yourself in a blue mood. So just try to remember these things. Notice when you're getting in that state and notice the pattern. Accept that you're in this moment. Accept all things. Try not to be so hard on yourself. Try to let judgments go. Third thing is to create space. Fourth thing is change your state, change your nervous system. Do the things like breathing, music, and body sensations, noticing that. Mini meditation. These things can be helpful. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in our next episode. Have you ever wanted to learn to meditate? Check out my book, Meditation for Everyone: How to Quickly Have a More Peaceful, Mindful, and Fulfilled Life, and support this channel. With Meditation for Everyone, you will learn to quickly and easily meditate, relieve stress and anxiety, alleviate depression, and have more joy, peace, and relaxation. What you will learn: mindfulness, the art of stillness, step by step on how to meditate, strategies for overcoming challenges to meditation, and much more. D. Mason said this is a nice meditation book, even for those already meditating. I agree with the statements that it will help to have a more peaceful, mindful, and fulfilled life. 4.6 star rating, available on Amazon.